Right, what's happening, people, and welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. It's been a couple of days since the defeat against Brentford. It was a match I was at. Very, very disappointing, but the good news is we don't have to wait long to put things right. So here to discuss tomorrow's match in the Cup against Blackburn with me is Matisse. What's happening, mate? All
Come
good?
on, bro. We're good. We're recovering. We're in we're in rehabilitation from what happened at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? So it's been a wild one. Wasn't expecting that.
No, I weren't either. Like, do you know what? To a point, I weren't expecting it. But when I sort of have my synopsis of where Chelsea are and what sort of side we are and what we can expect from us at the minute, then when you look at it in hindsight and you sort of go, wasn't that much of a shock, was it? Like, the blueprint's clearly there. So speaking about that blueprint, we're going to go on and I'm going to ask you exactly where you think Chelsea are at right now. But before we do that, people, do me a massive favour. Matisse Channel, if you are not already following it, is linked in the description to this video. So make sure you head over there. He's banging out Chelsea content all of the time. Really, really good content. So make sure you're over there to see his stuff when he uploads it. On to tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
Look, going into this, I think up and down sort of start to the season so far is probably an understatement almost. We have a little good run of form, we get a little bit excited, and then we're inevitably brought crashing back down to earth.
Yeah.
But once you're at rock bottom, the only way is up, hopefully. Where do you think we're at right now as a team?
For me, it's a team that seems to thrive on transitions, thrive off direct, quick attacks behind high lines. But then when they come up against low blocks, Forest, West Ham, a little bit of a low block as well once they took the lead, once we took the lead. Taking a look at this last game over the weekend as well, whenever we come up against these deep line defences, and this is traditional with Chelsea over the last couple of years, we struggle massively. We struggle to unlock them. We struggle to create chances. And I think the team that we put out over the weekend, we didn't help ourselves. Like, both fullbacks are not really known for going forward. We crippled ourselves, basically. So it was just so disappointing to see only Palmer, obviously from Man City, maybe tried and tested against those low blocks, know what he's doing and know how to figure things out.
Do you know what one of the most confusing things for me the other day was when I looked at that team sheet? Now, I know Axel Disasi has played at right back, obviously at times at Monaco, but it's like Reece is coming back in. Gusto, barring that red card, which I don't really think was deserved, has been really, really good for us. Yep. And inevitably, he's probably going to lose his place to Reece anyway. So why not start him in that match? Like, he really deserved to be on the team sheet in that match. And I had, like, at points in the season, complained a little bit over Levi Colwill. I say a little bit, quite a lot I had complained over Levi Colwill starting at left back. Yeah. But I'm actually getting more sold on it as it goes on. If the sort of understanding is there that once Thiago Silva goes, which all of us are expecting him to at the end of the season, he then transitions back into the left centre-back slot. Yeah. So I wouldn't have even minded seeing Cucurella over Axel Disasi at right back, because I think then, you know, he might offer us a little bit more there at times, but it's a strange one, isn't it? Because the tinkering with the lineup doesn't always come so much with the personnel, but more so in the positions they're playing. Like, we were seeing Enzo as a centre attacking mid at times. Now we're seeing him drop back further. We were seeing Levi Colwill at left back, now centre back. Cucurella, left back, right back. So
Chilwell, left wing.
Yeah,
that was probably the worst one. I'm not going to lie, of all of them. Do you know what it is for me? It's just, I feel like he's got wrapped around in this opposition side of things within Mbeumo and Vissa, and, you know, the aerial threat of Brentford, and having overcompensate maybe with the aerial, you know, threat with our centre-backs and having 3 of them instead of 2. But when you look at other teams, and especially us at home, you've kind of got to prioritise yourself a little bit more as well. I get it, the long throws, the corners, and whatnot, and we want as many bodies in there as possible to defend them. But what about us going forward? Like, how are we going to score goals? And yeah, we just overcooked it in the end, I think, too much.
The last time you were here, we was on quite a bad run of form. Yeah. I think we'd just lost to Aston Villa. And me and you got in here and we previewed the Brighton match. Now, if you believe in sort of good omens, maybe having you back in time for this match is a good little sort of coincidental situation here, because we look at it and we go, right, we've got a League Cup match, a match that maybe we can try things out a little bit more in and just try and build a bit of confidence for these young players in, and then take that in to the next run of games, which are obviously really hard. However, seeing with the way we play, and we're going to touch on this when we speak a little bit later on your channel, seeing with the way we play, in a weirdly ironic sort of way, they're probably not as hard as some of the games that we're playing against sort of lower level opposition, if you'd call it that. So how important is this cup as things go on? Some of the teams that have gone out of this cup already are teams that we would really be scared coming up against, like a Manchester City. Tottenham don't really win anything, but you're not going to be that scared of him. But out of Newcastle and Man United, the two finalists for this last season, one of them's going to go out on Wednesday night because they're playing each other. Obviously, you still got Liverpool in there. They've got Thursday night football to contend with, and they're doing well in the league. So if ever there was an opportunity to go and get some sort of domestic silverware in a time where things aren't going too well for us, surely it's this cup, isn't it?
It has to be. I know people take the mick out of this cup as, the smallest out of all of the trophies available in a season. But at the end of the day, this is the trophy that spiraled our success under Roman. This is the trophy that we won in February before that league win in that campaign. And it kind of kicked the boys on, and it gets that winning mentality clicked into gear. And that's exactly what this young group need. If there's anything that this young group of players need, is to win a trophy and to understand that feeling, and then to take it with them going into the seasons coming, and to say, right, they're great with the quotes. I've seen quotes from Mydryk. I've seen quotes from, Badia Shield. This is not a project club. This is not a club where you can get time. This is not a club where you can, dwindle in mid-table. That's all good, good, well and good saying it, but we need to see it now. And I think a trophy would be like a good, first hurdle to leap over, especially for Poch. Poch has been, called a bottler his whole managerial career at Tottenham. He needs a trophy as well under his belt, just to kind of calm everybody down, especially in a season where, let's be honest, after that Brentford defeat, I think Champions League football is, it's hanging by a thread. If we were to pick up a few more defeats and we weren't to really kick on, we could potentially be 27 or 26 points behind Tottenham, is it, if we lose to them on Monday? If we don't start picking up results, then Champions League football is going to be looking very, very difficult to obtain. So to soften the blow, we're definitely going to need some sort of cup. And to go back to Wembley after losing to Liverpool under Tuchel twice, I definitely need to see something at Wembley, because we've lost like 5 in a row there. So this is huge, absolutely huge.
I think when you look at like our young players, there's no doubting, no matter what the naysayers want to say, and people like to banter Chelsea and whatnot, there's no doubting we've got an absolute treasure chest almost when it comes to young talent. However, there's got to be a time when the moment arrives and they step up to the plate and go, not only am I talented, not only am I skillful, not only from a technical aspect can I hang it with the best of them, I can also do it mentally. And winning is the only way to do that. The only way to learn to win is by experiencing winning and losing, but obviously losing on a platform where you could have won big sort of thing, not losing to Brentford in the league. So I do think a trip to Wembley, win, lose or draw, and there are no draws in this cup, will be really, really vital for these players' confidence. But we just need to keep on winning. We need to keep on plugging through in this cup. And I do think we will. When we look at the opposition tomorrow in Blackburn, 4 wins out of their last 5 in the Championship, although they did lose last time out to Swansea. They're sitting 12th. And you know what? We're unbeaten in 15 games against Blackburn, but last time we played them was about 11 years ago, so that's completely irrelevant. Any memories for you of matches against Blackburn?
Do you know what springs to mind is the Ancelotti era, those years. I think that was just before, we were speaking about before recording, that's just before Blackburn went down. And we were slapping everybody up, 5, 6, 7. We were spoiled. I actually regret not celebrating those moments more as a fan, because I feel like I took them for granted. I was like, what, we didn't win 4-0 today? What a disgrace. Like, we used to just clean house under Ancelotti in that first season. I think we beat Blackburn in 09 5-0. And this is the season where you had Maloudas, you had the Drogbas, you had the, Anelkas, you had Lampard. It was just goals galore. You talk about the lack of shooters in this team. No one wanted to take a shot and maybe take responsibility from the edge of the area, etc. In that team, we had people pelting shots just constantly. We couldn't stop them. It was ridiculous. We had Malouda on like 15 goals. Drogba, of course, double digits. Anelka, it was insane. There was a fight for the golden boot between the pair of them. So, yeah, for me, those are my happiest memories. Ancelotti's season was incredible, and Blackburn were very much part of those batterings.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Because like when we were growing up, there's certain teams that have dropped out of the top flight now. And they were like established Premier League sides when we were growing up. Yeah. Sunderland being one of them. Blackburn, obviously. I can think of so many teams. Charlton were there a lot. Wigan were there a lot. Blackburn, for me, the one I always think of was a match that I was at. I think it was Mourinho's first season. We battered them 4-0 at Stamford Bridge. And Idegger Johnson scored a hat-trick in about 15, 20 minutes or something. So that was a good win there. But do you know what goal I always remember against Blackburn, right?
Is it Drogba?
No, do you know what? The season before that, Glenn Johnson scored a ridiculously good goal against Blackburn. I'm sure he flicks it over the defender's head, takes it down and puts it in at Ewood Park. That was in a 3-2 win. So good memories when it comes to playing Blackburn, but let's not, pretend we're not in a very, very different time right now. So what I want to move on to now is giving our team sheets
Yes.
for this match, right? I'll start with mine. I am going to go with the 4-3-3. Now, I know that formations, like we've had discussions time in, time out as the fan base so far this season, discussing whether formations mean anything, whether what we read on a lineup is how we actually play. You can look at heat maps and stuff and it will contradict the formations we're seeing. But for me, I was at the match against Brentford. It did look like we went for 4-2-3-1. That was the formation I was always quite a big advocate of because it was Pochettino's preferred formation. I've seen him play a lot in that formation, do well in it. But actually, I'm sort of looking things now and I'm thinking that a 4-3-3 is probably best for us at the minute, at this moment in time. So I would go with the 4-3-3.
Okay.
And my first, we'll sort of see, because I think this cup's really important, and for that reason I do really want to go strong in this cup. But there will be a few little rotations in here, and I'm going to start off. We brought him in. We might as well see him and give him a bit of a chance. I'm going Petrovic.
Go on,
goal.
Jerry. Come on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to hear, because I don't think... Listen, I don't know anything about Petrovic. I've not watched him, but I've heard good things, and I trust our scouting there's something obviously backed up behind it. There's data and whatnot, and we have had a little bit of success with our scouting so far since January. I want to see Petrovic and see if he can give Sanchez a run for his money, because he has been a bit not complacent. I don't think he's doing it on purpose. I think he is tuned in, but he's always got this error in him. Even at Brighton in that season under Potter, where he played very well, I think they had their highest ever Premier League finish. They finished 8th. I watched him, and listen, he can sometimes spray a ball nicely, but then he can also put it out of touch. He can sometimes make a big save, like he did in the game at the weekend in the first half. Kind of just stuck his hand out like that. But he can also make a bit of a blunder as well. So he's always got an error in him, and he's one of them keepers where he's not world class. He's not, for me, the level Chelsea should be aspiring to. I think he's just like a stopgap where it's, listen, maybe they have higher hopes for him. Ben Roberts and all these guys, goalkeeping coaches and whatnot, they seem to have high aspirations. But for me, from what I've seen from him so far in his career and at Chelsea, I think he's just he's a level or two below what we actually need to go and win a title. Might do well for a couple of years if he sorts himself out, but long term he's going to need replacing. And if it's one of these young goalkeepers, if we stumbled upon maybe a Courtois and we signed him from Genk and he went on loan to Atletico Madrid, we were like, who's this Belgian kid? You know what I mean? Smashing it in the Champions League. Who knows? Petrovic could be that guy. We won't know until we see him. So I need to see him against Blackburn for sure.
I think, like, when you look at goalkeepers, right, what makes a good goalkeeper great? Normally the competition they've got there. Peter Cech was brilliant because he had Kudicini behind him, and Kudicini had been the man for us for 2 years.
He's start for us, no problem right now.
Exactly. Like, you look at, obviously, when Mendy came in, displaced Kepa. One of the things that was driving Mendy is he knew that he was displacing the most expensive goalkeeper in the world at that time, or one of them. And then one of the things that drove Kepa to go and win back that position is he knew that Mendy had been so good. Even now, I look at other examples, like in the Premier League. I think Onana would be a lot better if they had kept De Gea, but replaced him in the first team by Onana. And then Onana would then know that, okay, I've got a guy who is sort of proven at this club, 1 or 2 mistakes here and there, but is proven at this club and is a fan favourite and can come back in and take my place, and maybe that'll drive his performance on a little bit more. So I do think it is vital right now. This is the match, isn't it, that we got to see Petrovic in. In terms of my back line, I'm going Gusto right back. I'm going to pair Axel Disasi with Levi Colwell in the centre-back partnership. And then at left-back, I'm going to go Cucurella again. Now, I look at that back line and I think, like, Thiago Silva is obviously brilliant. But I think, it will be well worth giving him a rest so that he can come back in and start that game against Spurs for me, which he would be starting for me. I think in the bigger games, Thiago Silva does turn up and sort of raises his level to the competition in front of him. So I just want to keep him fresh. Look, like, you can say what you want about dropping Thiago Silva, but at the end of the day, Father Time's undefeated, mate. He's 39 years old, and for that reason, if we can give him an 8-day rest in between games, why not? Like, he's the ultimate professional. He knows what he's doing on the training pitch. He knows how to manage his body and keep himself ticking over. So I would drop him. I'd see a little bit more from this partnership with Disasi and with Levi Colwell. Now, the only thing I would say in there, we've had Badiashile on the bench now for 2 games. So
is he fit?
But that's the only thing. Like, I don't know whether maybe I want to bank on this match being 2-0 and bringing him on for the last half hour, something like that. It's not the most conventional thing with defenders to bring him off the bench like that. But I do want to see Badiashile, but I don't want to rush anyone in.
That's not fit.
To start, because we've seen time in, time out what we've done with Reece James in the past, where we've rushed him back in, and then he's obviously, he's had injuries, and actually, I think the way that we're managing Reece so far is key here, because we're actually giving him a few games to sort of get his feet under the table. And that's why I want to see Reece come off the bench in this match as well. I want to see Reece come off the bench, maybe at half-time, maybe give him 45 in this match, because I'd very much like to see him starting
against Tottenham,
against Spurs. That's what I want to see from Reece James. So I don't want to chuck him in at the deep end and start him in this match, but I do think the subs are going to be massively, massively important. Then the midfield three, this is where the rotation sort of stops, and I am going strong because I am putting a massive emphasis on getting through this tie and pushing on and getting an away day for all of us to enjoy at Wembley. And for that reason, I'm going Caicedo with Enzo one side of him and Gallagher the other side. Okay. I'm not changing it.
Wow.
These boys are all young, yeah? These boys, touch wood, all have a fairly decent record with injuries. And I think, if you look at the facts that, bearing in mind, when they signed for us, obviously barring Conor Gallagher, who come from the academy, most of them would have believed that they would have been playing European football, you know? So when you look at that, actually the turnaround between having a game on Wednesday night and then a game, 5 days later, Monday evening, it's not a bad turnaround at all. Sometimes we were playing Sunday, Wednesday. So sometimes we were playing Saturday, Tuesday. It's not a bad turnaround. It's more than you would have if we were in European competition. So I don't think there's any massive risk with starting these boys. And then maybe we start to see Ugachukwu coming off the bench and a few of the other players. So I would start very strong in the midfield. And then up top, again, I'm starting pretty strong. I am going to go with Nicholas Jackson in the number 9 again. And I'm going to be completely honest here, mate. I'm sort of going to go for him because I don't think we've got any other options.
We really don't. We don't. No. You know, the thing is there's a lack of competition in this position because Bro is out injured. And for me, this will be, and I saw your video about Ivan Toney, this will be where I think this is spearheaded our move for a striker in January, because Jackson needs competition. He needs also to be kind of someone to learn off, because he is still young and he is clearly still raw in terms of his box movement and his finishing. I think he's good at linking up and dropping into the half spaces, but in terms of actually being in that box and finishing off a move, he's not shown that he can do that. He's got 2 goals in the league. So to have somebody maybe more experienced, Premier League proven, even though sometimes that doesn't guarantee anything, but somebody that is a better striker with the ball, is more physical, is better in the air, in potentially an Ivan Toney, who I'm a big fan of, and why I was kind of very hesitant on moving on Vlahovic in the summer. I wanted to kind of wait for an Ivan Toney. I think that could be a good balance, not only age profile wise, but also in terms of skill set. So
you know what I also think about Jackson at the minute? The thing that's not giving him as much saving grace as possibly he could have had was Nkunku. Obviously you've got Nkunku come back, who we know can finish his chances. But more so if you're a striker in this Chelsea team at the minute and you're not scoring goals, I think that's on you. Because when you look at the service you're getting from Cole Palmer in behind you, and the players you've got there in terms of mustering up chances, I do sort of think that is on you if you're not able to score these goals. And what I was saying earlier on in the season, especially the games against Liverpool and a few other games, I was looking at Jackson and I was going, mate, he gets into them good positions. You got to get there to miss the chances. Now he's not even really missing the chances last few games. But I'm not going to be overreacting to a point where I'm going, right, well, he's done then, let's drop him. I still want to see him given time. And I do think that more so than any other position on the field, barring maybe the goalkeeper, the number 9 position is one where confidence is such a massive, massive factor.
Confidence is crack.
Yeah, that's it. That is it, yeah. So I want to see him given another opportunity in this match, really hoping that he does something here. For me, it goes without saying, on the right-hand side, we're going to have Cole Palmer. I know I spoke about giving some players a rest, and you're going to see that on the other hand side, I have given a player a rest, but I just think with Cole Palmer, man, he's young, he's ready to go. And I just think he's so instrumental for us. He needs to be involved in every team selection. I think there's a huge drop-off if we don't have him in the team, although sort of since coming back into the team, or coming into the team, I should say, we haven't really seen him dropped. Now, the other side, we could have gone, obviously, with Mydryk here. We could have gone with Sterling here. I don't know whether Mydryk will be fit and available. But I need to give another player who I was really impressed by, obviously, on loan last season and in pre-season for us, another run out, and that is Ian Maatsen.
Okay.
Ian Maatsen started the match against Brighton that I was at in the round of fixtures before this in the Cup. He looked good in that match, and then he just hasn't really been given a sniff in the Premier League so far, has he? You know, he's been afforded a few minutes here and there off the bench, and I do think, again, against sort of second-tier opposition, a team that no doubt, without getting the stats up, he probably tore it up against last season when his team, Burnley, were flying high in the Championship. I think that he can maybe stake a claim to giving Pochettino a few more headaches when it comes to selecting along that front line. So that's my team there. Okay. Obviously, a little bit rotated from the last few we've seen, but I do think I've gone strong there. And do you know what? Injury-wise, we haven't really got the options, but... No. You know, I think if we were to see the likes of Carney Chukwuemeka coming back a little bit sooner and maybe Reece given more minutes and Badiashile given minutes since his injury, things might change. But for now, I think it's a strong team. I think it's a fair team in terms of giving these players the option, giving these players the opportunity, I should say, to stake a claim for their positions in competition against lower level opposition. However, at the same time, you look at that team sheet, that is a team sheet good enough to, in my opinion, go and pump Blackburn. But we'll see how you go with your lineup. So starting off, what formation you going?
I'm going 4-2-3-1. Right. I'm going to go over 10, just purely because I want to know for a guarantee that there's somebody in those half spaces against what could be a low block in Blackburn. Someone in there ready to create chances and ready for us to kind of play through a little bit. In goal, Petrovic, as you said, I think that's, for me, it has to be a no-brainer for Pochettino to see this keeper. The reason why I've couldn't call for him in the Premier League, so we didn't see him against Wimbledon. We didn't see him against Brighton, but fair enough, that was maybe a little bit more of a charged up game, and Sanchez had maybe played out with De Zerbi and whatnot, a little bit of back and forth there. Didn't even see him against Luton, and Luton, you know, was again a team that really didn't threaten. So this is the game where we got to see him. Backline, I agree. Gusto at right back. Disasi, I would love to see Badiashile as a combo, because I know they played together at Monaco. They've had their little back and forth on Chelsea socials in terms of, you know, videos, and they've spoken about their partnership and their dynamic, but we don't know the fitness, so it will be Colwell. But at left back, I'm going Maatsen. At left back, I'm going Maatsen. This is where he played in the Championship. Team of the season, overlapping fullback, going to contribute to the attack against a team that we should be dominating and we should be looking to try and get as many goals from as possible. I want to give those wingers now some serious support. And that's something we didn't do in the last game. So I'm going balls to the walls, as they say, with Maatsen at left back. In midfield, I've got Caicedo next to Enzo, and I'm going Palmer in the 10. And I'm taking Gallagher out of this because I feel like Gallagher this season, he's played really well. He's been probably one of our best players. But I think against teams that I know are going to sit back, I don't think he's as important. At the weekend, I don't really get why Pochettino played him where he played him, but you know, that's, you know, it is what it is. I think he should have played more off the right side of midfield. I think in this game we could probably do without. I think Tottenham is going to be massive. I think Man City, United, Newcastle, he's massive for all these games. He's got to start every single one. So I'm actually going to give him not even a rest, because does he ever need one? But I'm going to take him out of the firing line and not even firing line, but take him out of the team and just put players that I know are going to create like crazy in Enzo and Palmer. On the right, I'm going to go Mydryk again. I think he needs the minutes badly. The situation that he found himself in at the weekend was just awful. He didn't have no support out there, no overlaps, no nothing. I want to see him again. See
small margins as well, like such small margins.
He almost scored straight away.
Mate, if that shot goes in off the bar, then we're looking at everything completely different. And the other thing is this, right? And we come back to team selection, but just quickly, like, that shot was in, what, the 5th minute, something like that, right? If that shot goes in, then Brentford can't play a low block.
Exactly.
They can't play a low block all of a sudden.
His pace, bro, going in behind what would be an exposed Brentford team trying to get back in the game. It would have been incredible.
Mate, so, if that shot goes in, listen, if my auntie had a set of bollocks, she'd be my uncle. But if that shot goes in, we can be looking at a 4-0 scoreline in that match, because the second we get on the goal sheet, all of a sudden, teams have to play different. You have to come and attack us. Yep. So that is when we see more opportunities come our players' way. And obviously, the more we have, because we haven't been that clinical, we can start to hopefully accumulate so many that law of averages, you're going to finish some of these. But,
100%.
So back to your team sheet.
Yeah, so Mydryk on the right, Palmer in the 10. And then I think the reason why Mydryk was out was for illness. Right. So I'm hoping that give him a few cowpoles and he's back. He's ready to go. Do you know what I'm saying? Play him off that left wing. I don't think Sterling was very good at all at the weekend. So I want to put Mydryk back in that position if he's fit. I hope he is. And then up front, like you said, there's no option other than Jackson. I wish Broja could contend. I think before the injury, he looked like a promising player. But that massive injury came. He's now picked up another niggle. I worry for him whether or not he's going to be able to get back to the level that he could have been at.
Is there any like part of you at all that is tempted to give Washington a start? We see him come on a few minutes off of the bench the other day. Yeah. To be honest, it's about 4 pints deep by that point. I can't remember if he even had a touch of the ball. But yeah, I ain't seen too much of Washington to be able to cast any sort of real judgment on him.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It's a player we've we've done it with the keeper in a way. We've not seen any of him, so then we started him, and it's a key position. And the striker position, we've not seen any of Washington. He came on far too late at the weekend. I wanted him to come on much earlier. But I do think Palmer and Jackson have a chemistry. I think we saw it in the away game, was it against Fulham? I think there is a bit of a connection there. There's a little bit of a give and go. I want to see that still built upon. And Washington, yeah, I don't know anything of him. I'd love to see him in this game, but at the same time, I do still want to stick with Jackson as well. And I want him to try and score in this game, build his confidence, because Jackson, whether I want to see Washington or not, Jackson's going to be more important than Washington over the next couple of weeks against big sides. Washington has not played against Luton. He's not played against Wimbledon. He's hardly going to play against Man City and Man United and Newcastle. So Jackson needs to get into form. So this is the perfect game to do it, because after this, it's only difficult.
Do you know what a hard thing I think is? Like, that pitch is big, man. Like, when you look at ultimately the areas on the pitch, when you bring players in, you really want to, especially young new players, you want to pair them with experience. And that's why it's no real coincidence that if you look at the young players that have been brought in along our back line, right, probably the area on the field where you need the best judgment, they've all done pretty well. Malo Gusto's looked really good. Obviously Disasi's about 25, but Levi Colwell, we know he's pure class, but he's still young. He's come in 20 odd years old or whatever, done really well. And you can say about anyone that started along that back line looks good, and the reason for that is they're being paired up a lot of the time with Thiago Silva. Obviously Sanchez a little bit older, Disasi's a little bit older. They've got those mature heads there. However, when you look at bringing in like a young player like a David Washington, even a Jackson to an extent, they're in areas of the field where, it's not like bringing Oscar in, who had a Lampard next to him, or for example, bringing Hazard in, who also had Mata there, experience, time with the Spain team, winning countless amount of trophies and whatnot. So because we haven't got that sort of experience up there, barring Raheem Sterling, who, I don't want to go in on Raheem Sterling. He's been a very important player for us this season. I think he'll continue to be an important player for us, but he more leads by example. I don't really see him as much of a vocal presence. There's little things like, for example, the argument with Cole Palmer over the penalty, where I look at and I'm like, that's not the best.
Could have put him off there. Luckily, he still stuck it away. But
mate, could you imagine if we had missed that penalty as well? Then the daggers would have been out for Raheem Sterling there, which maybe wouldn't be fair. But one thing I do know is, you never see Lamps arguing with Drogba over who's taking a penalty. You never see that. So I think there's a little bit of uncertainty in the roles of these players in the team. I'm very actually happy to see Cole Palmer step up and take it. But I do think what we're saying about the likes of Washington coming in, even to an extent, the likes of Matson coming in, being a young player along that front line where I'm starting him, there's just not that experience in that area of the field. And that's why I think like a profile like an Ivan Toney will be vital for us, having a 27-year-old in there, sort of been there and done it in terms of English football, and that would be important for us. So let's cap it off. How do you see this match going? Let me ask you first, right? What do you want to see in this match?
I just want to see attacking football, and I want us to be relentless. And I want us to almost suffocate them. I want them to feel like they can't get out of their half, and I want us to have a plan. I don't want us to just attack through, individuals and just hope on brilliance. I want us to attack with a clear way of doing it. And I think bare basics, without going into some sort of tactico, Twitter hemisphere, is just commit numbers forward. Give options to your wingers. Have overlapping runners from the fullback or underlapping runners, whatever they prefer. Have players in the box when cutbacks and crosses come in. Don't just let it be Jackson, whose box movement has been poor and needs to improve. Allow the wingers to be in the box. Allow, a midfielder to commit to the box as well. Get people forward. And I think we've shown that when we do get players in and around others, we can do little combinations and little combines and play off each other and create chances. But a lot of the time, well, not a lot of the time, but against lower blocks, we've struggled to, we haven't really committed the right players forward. It's the wrong profiles in the wrong areas. For instance, Kukurea, I don't want to see, if he plays in the box with a right-footed shot from a cutback, that's just not feasible. It doesn't make any sense. It's not his strengths. It's not to anybody's benefit. Have a Sterling in that position. So I think it's instructions from Poch as well, and just release the handbrake a little bit. You're at home to Blackburn. It's your opportunity to flex your muscles, put on a show, and no disrespect to them, but we need to be going through to the next round of the competition. I think the semi-finals is on the horizon very soon after this. So yeah, is this the quarterfinals next after this round?
Quarters next after
and then you're in the
one.
semi. So you're one game away from that two-legged tie in the new year. So let's get to it.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see a low block. Not from us, obviously. I want to see Blackburn play a low block against us. Like from an enjoyment factor, being that I'm going to the match, obviously part of me is like, oh, maybe I don't want to see that. I do. I want to see Blackburn play a low block against us, and I want to see us absolutely put these lot to the sword. And look, I'm not deluded yet. Are Blackburn the same level as Brentford? No. Are they even the same level as a West Ham, as a Bournemouth, as a Nottingham Forest? Nowhere near.
Yeah.
However, what it can do is if they play this low block against us and we can build up confidence through absolutely putting them to the sword, then we can go into matches in the future against these teams going, right, okay, at least we've had a little bit of practice here and been able to do it. Because as good as the wins felt against Burnley and Fulham, ultimately, in terms of stylistically how to break teams down, we didn't learn anything from them
we didn't.
Because they came to play football against us. Burnley were completely naive in the way they played against us, because even they took a 1-0 lead and then still kept trying to score goals. And it's like, no, mate, like we will cut through teams like that, and we will have so many opportunities that even if we are a little bit wasteful, we're going to get that many that we're going to put some away. So if a team come out and play a low block against us and we put 3-4 goals past them, then we can go into matches where
Everton's at home.
Exactly. They don't come to fully attack us and are looking to sit back, and we can go, right, at least we're a little bit schooled in this. From a non sort of deep tactical point of view, do you know another thing I want to see? I want to see shots from outside the box. I want to start seeing stuff come from our midfield, because people don't realise, right, when you ping one from outside the box, you're either going to win yourself a set piece in terms of a corner probably, or there's always that opportunity that the goalkeeper's going to parry something out, and then you can give a direct chance to one of our strikers, one of our attacking players to follow something in. So that's one thing that we've lacked a lot this season, is having midfielders or fullbacks, whoever it is, actually be that sort of 25-yard point, 20-yard point, and think, right, do you know what? I'm having a pop here.
When was the last time we had that? Because even you look at our old midfielders in Kante, Jorginho, Cover, none of them could ping it from outside the area either. You'd have to go back many, many years for a specialist in long shots for Chelsea in terms of who is there really?
Oscar's the first one that comes to mind for me. I mean, the first one everyone's going to be thinking is Lampard, but I'm thinking sooner on from that. You're looking at maybe an Oscar.
Conte season, we had Fabregas. He didn't really ping him from range that much. Matic. I say Nemanja Matic was the last one that could really.
You know who it was? Do you know who it was? I'm just thinking of that season. It was David Luiz, wasn't it?
Probably
was.
Yeah, stepping up from the back three and absolutely launching it away from home. Was it at Fulham?
Rudiger used to have a lot of shots, but. Not all of them were great.
4-1 home defeat to Brentford, funnily enough, or 4-2. He did crash one in from
distance. I was at that match.
4-1, I think it was.
At 4-1 we scored the first goal, I think. I was at that match. Yeah, it was flying through the air for ages, that shot. So, that's what I want to see. I just want to see a little bit more of that attacking threat, and I just want to see it come to fruition, because I'm actually very, very confident, in a very ironic, weird way, in this Tottenham match, because of the way I see them playing. But we are going to cover that match on your channel. So obviously it's linked in the description for this video, and head over there, because when's that video going to be dropping?
That might drop after yours, to be honest, but it'll be out on my channel. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's
be out this week, so make sure you're over there for that. Finally, before I let you go, mate, let's have a score prediction.
I'm going to go over 3-0 win. I'm going to say, listen, we're going to step up. We're going to rise to the occasion. We need to bounce back badly from what happened and get our heads fully in tune for that Tottenham game and get ourselves ready for it, because that is going to be absolutely insane.
I like the sound of it, mate. I'm going to go a 3-0 win as well. But more importantly, I want to know, what do you lot think? How's this game going? If you've got time, stick your starting lineups in the comments section. I want to see whether you're sort of going with me and Matisse here in terms of our lineups, whether you go strong, whether you'd look to rotate, or whether you're putting so much significance on this that you do think that we need to field almost a fully fit and strongest 11. Let me know. And also score predictions. Anyone that gets them right, I'll make sure they're pinned on the video. Do me a massive favour. If you've made it to the end of the video, you clearly like the content, so make sure you are subscribed. I had a look at the analytics the other day, and a fair few of you that are watching this video, I think it's about 70% of you that watch my videos, aren't actually subscribed. It helps the channel more than you could ever imagine. So please hit the subscribe button. If you're feeling generous, hit the bell as well, so that you get a notification every time one of my videos goes live, and I will see you all in the next one.